Whenever you see a beautiful, intricate silk sari, have you ever stopped to think about the story behind it? Well, for the Ansaris, one of South Asia's largest Muslim communities, that story is woven from two incredible threads: a deep, ancient connection to the dawn of Islam and the absolute mastery of their craft. So let's unravel this amazing history together. It all starts with one single, really powerful word: Ansar. In Arabic, it means the helpers. And this isn't just some name. It's a title of incredible honor, something earned at the very, very beginning of Islamic history. It's the cornerstone of their entire identity. Right, so to really get a handle on the Ansari community today, we've got to go back in time. I'm talking 14 centuries ago, all the way to Medina. Let's unpack this incredible origin story and see exactly why this title, the Helpers, carries so much weight. So, the original Ansar were the people of Medina, mostly from two main tribes, the Aus and the Khazraj. Now, at a time when Prophet Muhammad and his followers were facing just intense persecution in Mecca, these tribes did something truly remarkable. They opened their homes and offered complete safety. This wasn't just a nice gesture. It was a profound act of solidarity that basically cemented their honorable place in Islamic history forever. So, here's the big question, right? How does a title that was born in 7th century Arabia end up becoming the identity for millions of people in the Indian subcontinent? Well, that's the next chapter of this story, a journey of migration, conversion, and the forging of a whole new identity. The Ansari identity in India actually has two different threads. You've got a small number of families who can trace their lineage directly back to those Arab Ansar, but the vast majority, and I mean the vast majority, come from an indigenous community of incredible weavers who are known as Julaha. Over centuries, many of these weavers, who often came from lower caste Hindu backgrounds, were drawn to Islam, especially because of its core message of social equality. Okay, so to understand why this happened, you have to get the social setup in India back then. Muslim society had this pretty distinct hierarchy. On one hand, you had the Ashraf, who were seen as the nobles. They claimed foreign ancestry from places like Arabia or Persia. And on the other hand, you had the Ajlaf, which was a term for local converts, who were often kind of looked down on for being artisans or laborers. It created this huge social divide. And here is the absolute genius of it. For the Julaha weaving community, adopting the name Ansari was a brilliant and powerful move. It was their way of shedding a label that was tied to a lower social status and instead claiming a prestigious identity, one that linked them directly to the honored helpers of the Prophet. This was more than a name change. It was a movement for dignity and respect. And that brings us right to the craft that has defined the Ansari community for generations. Because for them, their art isn't just a job, it's truly a way of life, woven into the very fabric of who they are. Seriously, if you've ever seen a real Banarsi silk sari up close, you've seen the artistry of the Ansaris. They are the master weavers behind these incredible, luxurious garments. They're world famous for their zari, which is this unbelievably intricate art of weaving fine gold and silver threads right into the silk. It's stunning. And the process itself, it's just an amazing display of patience. First, you've got to prepare and dye all the delicate silk yarns. Then comes the massive task of setting up the loom. We're talking about arranging thousands of threads in a super precise order. And only then can the weaver start the slow, meticulous work of creating the pattern, which can take weeks, sometimes even months, for just one sari. But the threads that hold the Ansari community together go way beyond the loom. Their social structure is this rich, complex fabric of family, kinship, and faith. You can really boil it down to three main pillars holding up their society. First, there's family. We're talking strong, often large, extended families where elders are shown deep respect. Second is the Baradari, which is this powerful brotherhood or kinship network. It's there for everything from mutual support to helping arrange marriages. And third is faith. Islamic principles really guide their daily life, from prayers to festivals like Eid. So where do they live? Well, if you look at a map of India, they're mostly concentrated in the north and the east. Uttar Pradesh is the absolute heartland, home to almost half of the entire Ansari population, including famous weaving hubs like Varanasi. You'll also find big communities in the neighboring states of Bihar and Jharkhand. And there's another really important piece to this puzzle: their official status. In many states, the Ansari community is classified as an other backward class, or OBC. This is a big deal because this designation recognizes the historical socioeconomic challenges that artisan communities have faced, And it gives them access to things like reservations in education and government jobs. All right, so what's happening now? What does the future look like? Let's turn to the next chapter, where the community is navigating some really modern challenges while finding new paths forward. The thing is, this centuries-old craft is facing some serious threats today. You've got mechanized power looms that can churn out fabric way faster and cheaper, which just crushes the prices for handwoven goods. That intense competition, combined with low wages and ever-changing fashion trends, puts a huge amount of pressure on these artisan families. It's a threat not just to their jobs, but to a whole way of life. But here's the thing about this community. They're incredibly resilient. They're adapting. There's a huge and growing emphasis on education, and you see the younger generation diversifying into all sorts of fields, running their own businesses, getting into tech and other modern professions. They're moving beyond the loom. And this shift, this move beyond the traditional craft, wow, it is producing some truly remarkable results and creating leaders who have had a real impact on modern India. I mean, you can't talk about success without mentioning Muhammad Hamid Ansari, a truly distinguished diplomat and scholar who comes from the community. He rose to become the 12th Vice President of India and served for a full 10 years. That's a powerful statement about the community's ambition and their contribution to the country. So when you just step back and look at the whole story, it's pretty incredible. It starts with this identity of helpers back in Medina, it transforms into a legacy of master artisans in India, and now it's evolving yet again into a community of modern professionals. Their story is all about faith, resilience, and an amazing ability to adapt. And all of this leaves us with a final big thought. The story of the Ansaris is like a living tapestry, one that's constantly being rewoven. And it makes you wonder, and this applies to so many cultures, how do you hold on to a precious centuries-old heritage while still weaving a vibrant new future in a world that is changing faster than ever?